Buying property in New Zealand can feel overwhelming. Prices are high, listings can be confusing, and sometimes character just means rotting floorboards. But what if I told you how to spot the red flags in a property faster than your lawyer can read a limb report?
Financial freedom faster. Financial freedom faster.
Last week, more people watched this channel than all other New Zealand property shows combined. Subscribe and get ahead. We are your unfair advantage in New Zealand property. Serve daily, no apologies. He studied at London School of Economics and Political Science, and he's the founder and CEO of Relab. If you're not using it before placing an offer, you might as well blindfold yourself and throw darts at the housing market. Now, how is it fair to say that Relab is the Sherlock Holmes of New Zealand real estate?
You should definitely use Relab before you make one of those very important decisions of your investment and financial lives. And we've seen too many Kiwis making the mistakes or going by the gut feel, especially buying first homes for themselves. And some of the results are quite disastrous, to be honest. So we genuinely hope any home buyers will be using Relab as part of the due diligence process.
Since Relab helps identify hidden property risks like flood zones, easements, and zoning overlays, would you say you are the hero of informed home buyers or the villain to agents hoping no one checks the fine print?
Oh wow, that is a really good question, Danny. I think we're both, and the reason for that is we serve many real estate agents. We know many of them are very hardworking. You know, the industry carries a stigma of, hey, real estate agents, are this and that. And we really hope having a tool to make them more efficient, make them more knowledgeable, make them more professional would help them do what they do best, which is to serve people. And on the other side, we definitely realize that Relab is paid software. We do offer a 14 days free trial for any home buyers to use Relab during those 14 days. And after that, there's a small commitment to keep using Relab every month. And not all home buyers would realize the importance of paying for professional level software as part of the due diligence. We hope that, by using Relab for 6 months during their home buying journey, we've saved them potentially tens of thousands of dollars, not getting into a really bad and risky deal. Then in comparison, the cost of software could almost be negligible.
Yeah, I actually have a story to share as well.
Yes, please.
Using Relab, because when I purchased my first home,
Okay.
it was a while ago. The market was 2021.
Yep.
The market was super hot,
Yes.
and I had looked at like 100 listings, placed nearly 10 offers, and I was like, I don't know what to do anymore.
Yep.
I went to Relab, put the details of the property.
Yeah.
I realized the new owner had just purchased a new home.
Okay.
So I knew they were a bit like they needed to sell their home to fund the next one.
Yes.
And I used that to my favor because I knew that they actually needed the money to sell. So I wrote them a letter saying, hey, I'm a first home buyer. I would love to live in this home. I've been looking, for many listings. So can you please just, go and agree with the
Yes.
price here so we
Yes.
can, it's mutually beneficial. And it worked. I got the house. So thanks to Relab, that research was much easier and definitely saved me $50K that I got a
Oh, yeah.
discount on the purchase price.
Yeah. Well done on using a communication strategy to engage with homeowners. Quite often, people can see real estate transactions, buying and selling, as quite a transactional thing, and it could be. But I think in those instances, you're genuine. You stated your purpose, and the owner decided to go with the deal. So well done.
Can you explain how Relab's new map overlays like walking tracks, paper roads, and nearby infrastructure help property buyers and real estate agents make smarter decisions before making an offer?
We're not pro property investors. We're not real estate agents. So a lot of our ideas rely on what our customers tell us. In that particular example, when we upgraded our map, the new map shows a great level of details, including infrastructure, nearby facilities, and paper roads. I didn't even know what paper roads before. Do you know what paper roads
I
are
have no
for?
idea, honestly.
So when you look on some maps, right, you will see solid roads, which is just solid lines on the map. But then there are new subdivision, new development areas, and it could take years for the piece of land to go from green fields to infill to housing. So some maps would have dotted lines indicating where the road's going to be. So that was a product requirement by one of our agent customers saying, hey, I rely on Paper Road to help me find new development sites. If you would introduce this feature for us, we would come on board. And we looked around and implemented a solution within 3 days into production environment for that customer.
A reminder, every video on this channel is a weapon, a tactical edge. If you own property, want to own, or just hate falling behind, subscribe. With Relab highlighting flood risks, zoning restrictions, and legal property issues, do you ever feel your platform is taking the emotion out of buying a home, or by making it way too informed for comfort?
If you agree that making $1 million property investment decision is as important as any other financial decisions you made, for example, shares. And if I come to you, imagine, hey, Danny, can you invest, I don't know, $5,000 of cash into the shares? And I say, I'm not going to show you any company history, no annual result, no competitor analysis. Would you invest $5,000 of $500 in the shares?
No way.
Or would you say?
No way.
And then think of our property investment, right? Quite often the emotion is driven from our aspirations, our dreams, our hopes for our family. But then it's also very important to counterbalance that with facts and just the boring stuff, which is what we do.
I see that every day in my community. I get people sending me listings saying, oh, this is the one, this is the one. Because after you've seen so many properties, you just want to buy something.
Yeah.
But then you have to think about the opportunity cost. Have you done, and we always say, go to Relab and check the 3 red flags. Are there any floods? Have you got services on site?
Yeah.
How is everything looking? If it ticked the box, then you go to the next stage.
Yes.
Right. So I totally agree with you on that one. But how does Relay pull together multiple layers of property data like zoning, recent sales, boundaries, and risk overlays, and visualize it in a way that's easier to understand than the council records or LIM reports?
We get a lot of our data from the councils and from government agencies such as Land Information New Zealand. And they do a fantastic job for Kiwis up and down the country. And we benefit from being a consumer of their data. So that's great. On the other hand, if you're a council, for example, you have to provide your product and services, whether it's GIS map or other public service, offerings to everybody, and that everybody can range from first-time buyer to mum and dad to retired couple, all the way to your professional architects, engineers, and planners. Therefore, the council really offer everything into their GIS map or other offerings. Whereas, and that to a first-time buyer can really, really come across as being quite overwhelming. We have an awesome, team of engineers behind us, from our, co-founder and CTO Leon to our front-end developer, back-end developer. So we're a small team, but we're very aligned on what we deliver for our customers.
If Relab had been around 20 years ago, how many Kiwis home buyers do you think could have avoided properties with character, which really meant unconsented extension, moisture issues?
We cannot deliver what we deliver without the modernization of our data suppliers. And they are councils. We work with Real Estate Institute New Zealand, RINES, and they do a fantastic job, and LINS, which is the central government agencies. So I think, 20 years ago, if they didn't make those data available to the public, we wouldn't have done any better anyway. But I think the discipline of being prepared before you make a property decision, the discipline of practice discernment and check all your boxes, I think those disciplines would have existed 20 years ago or 100 years ago. I think it's just remembering, right, you are making a big decision for yourself or your family. Yes, for financial reasons, but it could be for family reasons too. Maybe you should spend some time getting expert advice on your investment strategy.
Yes. And the number one question I get from my clients specifically is,
Mm-hmm.
where is Relab available around the country?
Yes.
I'm buying in the regions. Are the same data available everywhere in every region?
Yes. Relab has really, really good data across the country in the main centers. Auckland, Waikato, Wellington region, and Canterbury region, and also Queenstown Lakes region. In the other regions outside of those, sometimes the data is just not available or not easily obtainable. So we do our best, to knock on council's doors to be able to provide the data. But if the data is not available, there is very little we can do about it. But the good news is all the councils up and down the country are making huge amount of investment and improvements on the information, what they make available. So we'll definitely be, working closely with them to improve our data coverage. But right now, Auckland, Waikato, Wellington, Christchurch, Queenstown Lakes, other regions, so we're very confident we have good data coverage, and we're actively working on both Plenty, Palmerston North, New Plymouth, etc.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. A reminder, smart investors don't need pep talks. They act fast. That's why they're here. And that's why this channel is blowing past the competition. You need to subscribe.